Don't laugh.
Fucker.
You're welcome.
Hello and welcome to my happy podcast. I'm Otaku Mike. With me as always is Jen. And we're here to talk about our happy marriage. Wait, no.
Hey, we might have to change that because my happy podcast makes it sound way worse than it actually is.
No, this is Otakuology podcast. I'm Otaku Mike. With me as always is Jen. And we are here to talk about my happy marriage. This was an anime that was suggested by the viewers of the Otakuology podcast. This is a newer anime. It came out in 2023, July 5th, 2023. It has a total of 12 episodes plus an OVA.
Oh, so this is like super new.
Yeah, it's like new. And it's done by...
But this used to be a manga though, right?
Yeah, it is. I believe it is a manga.
Okay, because I was like, I'm pretty sure this was the manga.
Yeah, it's a manga. There's also a light novel series. No. Yeah, it's a light novel series, a manga, and a live action show or a live action movie. That might be interesting.
We're gonna have to cover that at some point.
But this anime was produced and made by Kinema Citrus
from Trigger.
No, it's not Trigger. But they are former Production IG and Bones members who made up this animation studio.
Oh.
And you might know some of their work because they actually are the ones responsible for Rising of the Shield Hero.
Oh.
And Made in Abyss.
Oh.
But they also did Card Fight Vanguard. It's like a Yu-Gi-Oh.
I mean, I did like Card Fight Vanguard more than I kind of like the most recent Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. So, I mean, let's just be real here. Whenever card games start getting on motorcycles and it's what powers your bike, that's a little crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Like Mad Hatter crazy, you know, you could put syrup, whatever you want in your watch, just don't put mustard.
So, like I said, this was a episode or a series that was suggested by the viewers of the podcast. Thank you for suggesting this, viewers, because we never get any feedback with the podcast.
Yeah. And I know who you are, so you're welcome.
Yeah, we know who voted on this.
I know who voted on it.
We know who you are. We know where you live.
I know who your boyfriend is / fiance / husband.
We're gonna be like, are you Nutsack 69? Did you say blah, blah, blah,
okay.
Blah?
So before we get into this, I gotta have a quick story that I gotta throw out to everybody that will. It'll be talking about a happy relationship, okay?
All right.
And by that relationship, it means mine and yours. I had to tell somebody the other day because we were talking about tattoos.
Yeah.
Because it was Friday the 13th.
I know. Right? I didn't get to go get one this year.
And I was telling somebody, I was like, "Yeah," I said, there's this one year. I said, my best friend, he almost got a 13-cent handlebar ride tattoo. And they looked at me and they're like, "What is that?" And I said, they're like twice my age. And I was like, you'll grow into that, Jimmy. And they just looked at me like, what the hell?
It was mustache rides.
Yeah, it was an older lady. She still didn't know what I was talking about. So I had to message her later and be like, "Hey, so this is what it means." And she's like, "Oh,
kinky."
But yeah, I was like, "Mm-hmm."
Well, I still want that tattoo. Like,
see, look, and you need one to grow on because you need one for this year.
I think when you come down here, well, the next one's in December. Next Friday the 13th is in December.
Yeah.
I think next time you come down here, or when you come down here, whenever that is, we both need to get that tattoo.
Yeah, I'm not getting that tattoo.
Why not?
I don't need to go around and have people.
But you can put it where nobody sees it.
That's even worse.
Why?
Because then people be looking for it.
I mean, nobody know you will have it.
Sure they will, because they'll listen to the podcast and then they'll go, "Oh man, I heard that you had a mustache ride tattoo."
Can I just say how ironic?
And that's how I became Stripper Graves.
Can I just say how ironic it is? I
Yeah.
really wanted that tattoo.
Yeah.
And my ex-wife was like, "No, you're not getting that tattoo. If you get that tattoo, I'll divorce you." And I didn't get that tattoo, and I still got a divorce.
Oh, so that's like the biggest lie in the world that you were told. You see, you should have got it. Then
I know, and I regret not getting it. Maybe I would would have gotten a divorce sooner.
Although, you know the weird thing, because I know who your lady is now, and she's amazing. But what if you didn't get a divorce after you got that? Like, what if it sealed the deal that you weren't getting a divorce ever?
Oh, I don't know. That's a weird parallel world to think about.
No shit, right? But that's not in this world. You know, the world of my happy marriage. Well, actually, there are superpowers in this, so I know. That might be a thing. I don't know.
I know.
So,
well, go ahead.
What were you saying?
No, go ahead.
No. Well, so jumping into this a little bit, just from like, kind of like the little preview reel, like when you're sitting on it on Netflix or whatever. Did you really think this was going to have superpowers in it?
When I first heard about it, no.
I thought the same thing. I'm kind of wondering what that plays, and by the time we're done with this, if it seems like superpowers are relevant.
I would say probably superpowers are like the backdrop.
Like I agree.
In a sense. Like they're not like the forefront of this particular series. Because to be honest, like we watched the first 2 episodes, and I only saw one superpower be used in that first 2 episodes. So
yeah, we saw one get used, and then we heard about
another.
We heard about 3.
Yeah, but anyways, let's get into this show. So the show starts out with a young girl named Mai Samori. I hope I pronounced it right. No, it's not Mai Samori. It's Miyo? Miyo Samori?
Yeah, it's Miyo.
Miyo Samori. I don't know why I said Mai.
I was like, you might as well be like, my, Sharona.
American Pie.
Oh my God.
I don't know the rest of the words.
I don't know what to tell you anymore.
And Miyo Samori. Miyo Samori. Samora, sorry. We start out with her, and she's like crying because she lost her mama and her cherry tree burnt down or something like that. I don't know. But we go into that. We have this weird like dream sequence almost, I feel like, at the beginning. Like it was hard to say if it was a dream or it was like a slight introduction to the show. I think
it was just an introduction.
You think so?
Yeah, because we saw like different images of like characters, like where it was like, oh, this is their cheek or this is their hand, and it was just telling us about the world, like, you know. So I felt like it was our introduction into the world, but man, then it kind of hit hard. And
it hit so hard. It hit so hard.
What's going on here?
It hit so hard. I felt it.
So, and I want to make one comment, and then us lead into it, and we can talk about it more.
All right.
So, you know, for a little while there, we were reviewing a lot of things that seemed like fairy tales, and I straight up want to say that this reminds me of Cinderella with superpowers.
See, that's where I want to be like, you're possibly right in the fact that, yes, because we'll get into it. Like, so the show starts out with Miyu's sister, uh,
Maya.
my sister Kaya, yes, throwing tea at Mayu, and which is like, she's like, oh, it's bitter. I hate this. You left it on
Mio.
too long. What?
Mio.
Mio's. I don't know. I call her Mayo. Mio. Mio.
Mayo.
Mio.
Oh my
And
god.
she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Mio says, I'm so sorry. Like, forgive me. And they're like, are you done bowing? Get up and brew some more tea. And I'm just like, oh my God, these people are terrible people. Like, oh my
Yes.
God. Like, they put like the evil stepmother and like evil stepsister and Cinderella to shame, I feel like.
Oh, I agree.
Like, they're like 1,000 times worse. And then there's the dad, Mr. Samora. He's just reading a newspaper and he's like, oh, don't get me involved in this. And you see the woman, she's like, good for nothing child. I can't believe you like made that woman give birth to her. And he's like, oh, just leave the past dead. And we find out like later on that Mi's mom is dead, which is fucking crazy,
Yeah.
like, and like she basically gets like, so it's weird how this show works, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because how they treat her and stuff and how they value people.
Well, and their reason behind why they treat her the way that they do, like obviously the stepmom is my child has to be the golden child,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Like I understand that.
And that's her half sister.
But like the other thing that they say is because she has no features that stick out.
She has no magical powers.
Well, and she has no features that stick out at all. Like they're like she's just bland. Which
she has no redeeming quality.
May I add this? May I add this in here?
Uh-huh.
And this is maybe a snafu, and it will probably be. I'll jump into it. This is probably my only gripe that is in these two episodes.
Okay.
First, are we even sure that Kaya Simori is actually what's her face's,
half sister?
Shinichi Simori's like daughter?
I want to say yes, because in the show, I don't remember if it's in these first few episodes or it's the next episode after these two. Because I watched the next episode, the third episode, and they say that is it Kenichi Samori? Her father?
Shinichi
Samori?
Yeah.
Her father. So he was in a relationship with Kaya's mother.
Right.
And he basically was having a relationship, I think, before he got with Miyu's mother. So he was betrothed to Miyu's mother. Right. But as that was going on, he was still having a relationship with Kaya's mother. Like, he wanted to be with Kaya. He didn't want to be with Miyu's mother.
Oh. Yes. See, I haven't done that because Kaya's younger than,
because that's why Kaya's mother calls Miyu's mother like a homewrecker and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay.
And that really confused me at first until I heard that part in the show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I was like, why? I mean, I get it. Okay, so I'm gonna be upfront with this. I want to get a little personal too, a little personal.
Okay.
I related I related a lot to Miyo because my own stepmother was a lot, not as bad, but a lot like that when like my half brother showed up.
Yeah.
So I relate heavily to Miyo's situation of basically being like kind of tossed away and not like really a part of the family.
I agree. I too felt that way with
Now,
my younger
I've
siblings.
never had an arranged marriage, so I don't know how to say that
That's
part.
true. That's true. But now that like my little brother, like all his problems or whatever, like I don't feel because my younger sister is my stepmom's golden child.
Uh-huh.
So for sure, like I understand like that part of it. But I can't say that in the sense of like all the stuff with the Samori family, because my dad actually defended me on shit. So
My dad didn't.
uh, I'll be your daddy, Mike.
No, thank you.
I will. I'll be your daddy.
My dad doesn't even talk to me anymore. So
Well, son, I'm talking to you now.
and he lives like an hour and a half away.
And then the other funny thing, I've been talking to you for over 4 years.
Don't make it creepy.
Hey,
Don't make it creepy.
just call me daddy.
No, never.
No, if you ever did that, I'd be like, I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
But no, like, so we get this scene. It's a very shocking scene.
Oh, well, hold on. Let me touch on the thing real quick.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So here's the part that I'm very confused on, right?
Okay.
And they do say, yes, this is like her younger half sister or whatever.
Yes.
And her mom has brown hair, right?
Yeah, it's like a brown, dark color hair.
And the dad's hair is black.
Yes.
So this is my question.
Why does she look like a white woman?
Her hair is blonde. Are we sure she ain't the milkman's baby?
I mean,
I watched the second episode and I was like, man, these intrusive thoughts about her being somebody else's daughter are really flooding in.
Okay, when we get to this part, when we get to that part of the second episode, I really want to talk about that.
Okay, because I for sure want to be like, this makes no sense. Like, how is she blonde?
Well, I get it that, like they use like different hair colors in animes, purple, blue, green, pink, whatever, A part of me wants to think that it's a stylistic choice.
Yeah.
To the anime, but a part of me feels like, what if it's not his daughter?
Right? See, look. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what anyways, when we get to it, when we get to this one particular scene, I want to talk about it. But we move on from here. Miyu's going about her daily chores. She hears some people talking about how somebody has come to visit the family. We find out it's this boy. The boy's father has come to see the Samora family. And we find out that Koji is here. And Koji is kind of like Miyu's childhood friend / crush, I believe.
I'd agree with that.
I want to say. And he comes to talk to her and he gives her some very nice caramel candy. And she really likes
caramels.
It's some caramels. And they kind of talk and he starts talking about how he wants to save her, get her away from this place because she's obviously being treated very, very poorly. Yeah. Very, very poorly. And that's kind of his whole thing. And some time goes by throughout the day, and we find out that Miyu's father says, hey, they have this conversation about getting new kimonos for Kaya. Because Kaya really wants new kimonos for school and stuff, which makes me question, does Miyu doesn't go to school, is what I'm gathering from this.
I do not think, if she does, it's not as prestigious as hers.
Because she's like 19 at this moment. She's 19.
And I really think, honestly, that was more of a lie, because I think the kimonos were actually for this big day that's coming up for the betrothal situation. I think they said school, but I don't think they really knew how to word it.
She says school Kaya says school because she's like, "Oh, my kimonos are getting a little old and a little worn. School is going to start, and I
Yeah.
need new kimonos and stuff." And he's like, their father's like, "Yes, get like get a couple kimonos and stuff like that." And he was like, "Okay, yeah."
Yeah.
And as Miyu's about to leave, her father's like, "Hey, what are you doing around noon?" Which is an odd question to ask because he should know what his daughter does. I'm
Right.
right.
Well, and I don't think he asked her, "What are you doing around noon?" He told her, "Be in my study at noon," or whatever time he
No,
gave her.
he asks her, "What are you doing around noon?" And she's like, "Oh, that's my cleaning duties. I clean around noon."
Yeah.
And we and we get this scene where like she goes to her room and she has nothing in her room basically, and she's like, he should know what I do. Like, I'm always here. Like, I'm basically their servant, is what she says.
Yeah.
So she's basically like an indentured servant almost. Or some might say a slave. She's a slave, maybe.
Mm. Cinderella, yes.
Cinderella, a slave. You know,
Right.
but we get the scene, and which is a very sad scene. Like, it is very depressing.
Oh yeah, especially because we get that little snippet earlier where Koji like is standing outside the front gate by himself, and he's like, "It's not fair."
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not
Like
fair at all.
we start hearing stuff, so we know like we're gonna get some bad news,
Yeah.
and obviously you can kind of read between the lines unless you can't, but
Which I'm gonna be honest, like, so I didn't really know what this anime was about. I just
it's
knew.
it's about arranged marriages.
Well, I mean, I just knew about it because I knew it was like it was very popular like a year ago. Like, a lot of people really liked this. I was like, oh, okay. So I knew of the anime, but I didn't know what it was about.
I just knew it from the manga,
Okay.
but I'd never read the manga or anything,
Okay.
so
Um, but we move on, and we move on to the next day, where Miyu is working and stuff like that. She sees Koji, and he's wearing his Western attire,
which I love that they pointed that out.
which
Oh, you're wearing your Western attire.
wearing his
Oh
Western
yeah,
attire, which I was kind of shocked that like we were in like, because I didn't expect them to be in like the Japanese like industrial revolution era
yeah,
where
yeah.
they had telephones, they have cars, and we see it more prominent like within like the second episode.
This is true. Yeah, because she does take a trolley.
Yeah, she takes a trolley. They have cars. They have like gutters on their houses.
Yeah. See, and in this instance, it kind of reminded me of like the season of Korra of Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know how they kind of had like more up to date stuff compared to like regular Avatar.
All I thought about was, did you ever watch Sakura Wars or Sakura Tyson?
Maybe.
That is all I thought about because it's set in the same time period.
Oh
I was like,
Jesus.
I was like, when's the giant robot showing up? They have demons, obviously. Where's the giant robots?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Bring it.
I need the I forget what they're called. I think they're like the Flower Brigade. I can't remember what they're called. It's been a while since I watched that show.
I can't remember what you talked about either. But we do have that 12 o'clock meeting that comes up,
Oh yes, the 12 o'clock meeting, which was
and she comes into the room, and we kind of get like, there's dad sitting there, and there's stepmom,
it's their stepmom.
and then we hear the bitchiest voice in the world,
Aren't you
half sister.
coming in the room?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then the guy's sitting there,
and he's just fucking defeated.
yeah. And they were told that basically that Kaya and Koji are to be betrothed.
Yes.
Which aren't the Tetsushis, which is Koji's family, don't they live like next door?
I think so, or a little bit down the road.
That's what I thought they kind of
I want
alluded
to
to, but I
say.
was unsure. And then, of course, like it's also that time that since your sister's getting married, that we also have to marry off the oldest, which I kind of wonder if this is going off of the Japanese tradition, like the oldest has to be married too. And
Yeah.
so whenever it was time for Kaya to be married off, they were like, Miyo, we have to marry you off too.
Yeah.
Um, but then supposedly she got married off, and I am very glad that we found out more about this situation first, because it was like, oh, she's gonna get married to this like most ruthless soldier.
Yeah,
Like
his name is
he eats people for breakfast, like all this other shit. And I was like, oh my god, this is Game of Thrones all over again. They're marrying her off to Ramsay Bolton. Oh shit.
his name is Kiyoka Kuda
Yeah.
is his name. And he is basically I think he's in the military, right?
Yeah, he's in the special anti grotesque
Grotesca.
unit or whatever.
Yeah.
They're all basically like magic users, as
Yeah.
far as I understand it. Which, I mean, this also made me think about the show, which was a comic before, the Blood and Bone or whatever. Bone and what is it? Bone and Shadow, I think is what it is. And they have people that are magic users, but in this, it only seems like magic users are put into this special unit.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, do they not use magic stuff for anything else? You know, like,
Yeah.
so that's what kind of threw me off too. I was like, what else do they do? Like, do you have magic people that do anything else, or are they only destined to be in this unit?
Yeah, which I really want some more clarification on that aspect. And
I
I
agree.
guess moving forward, and she's like, you see this look on Miyu's face, and she is just distraught. She's like,
Yeah.
she was like, I expected some good news, some happy news, and she was like, nothing good has ever come of my life, at all. Like, oh my god! And he's like, her dad's like, you have to leave tomorrow. Pack your things.
Yeah. Well, and they've had her like so subservient like this whole time. You know, like basically it was free labor, which I mean, we also get it from Kaya, like maybe not the dad per se, but like
the mom
and Kaya definitely want everybody to know their status as like as close to royalty as they can be.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, though, none of that really impresses me enough. Like, we don't know what the dad does or anything else.
No.
So in that aspect, I'm very confused what his line of work is. Because, I mean, we get when she's going to Kiyoka's that, yes, he is, you know, like this military guy.
He's had multiple fiancés.
This too, yeah. But we haven't really gotten anything on, like, these other two families, the Samoris and the other one. Of like, what do they actually do? And we never see anything. We don't know. We just go, we know they're prominent families because supposedly they're getting married.
And really, like, what do they get out of these arranged marriages?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know. I mean, for one, I would think maybe like the superpower abilities,
money,
like the heir.
Would they get money or in power?
I don't know. They've never brought that up. They've never brought that up. In these two episodes.
That's usually what a normal, like, arranged marriage is. Like, you get money, usually.
Well, and you also, you know, like, you get, like, bragging rights of this is my daughter-in-law or this is my son-in-law or something. Like, you know, you almost get an armistice, like, thing of, okay, well, they're not also going to try and kill me off because now we're like compatriots in some way. So, but I don't know. I mean, the only thing honestly from that I feel like we can draw off of is it's political in some way. We don't know how it's political though. And the series, I feel like, is pretty good in the sense of when it's not something they really want you to know, they are pretty subliminal about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they touch on it in your face, but it's so subliminal, you're like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah. Which I am left with a lot of questions after these 2 episodes, to be honest.
Well, and you've watched part of the third episode,
I know
so
I've
you know more than me, and I'm like, what do you know?
I have watched a little bit ahead. Like, watch the next episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, she goes off. We find out
We do have to touch on that. Daddy did get her a new kimono.
he did get her a new kimono, which she was very surprised about.
I was very surprised about.
She was very surprised, and even the innkeeper, not the innkeeper, like the servant, was very surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like, a lot of bad things have happened to you, she says to Miyo, but here's something a little nice, and here's some rice balls for the trip and stuff, and she hopes everything's good.
Yeah.
And then Miyo,
and you can kind of see that though with Miyo and how she interacts, like all of the house servants or whatever, like all love her.
Yeah, they look after her.
There's plenty of people like they want to deal with her, they want to do all this other stuff, like that she's basically like got them in her back pocket for a lot of different things.
Yeah, she's not afraid. They're not afraid of her.
No, and they encourage her.
Yeah, they encourage her and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yep.
And then she gets up. She leaves the house. She doesn't say bye to anybody at all. She just gets up and leaves. She's like, "This isn't my house anymore. I'm going to leave."
Well, because nobody was there to meet her.
Yeah, and I was like, "That's so sad."
Yeah,
it's so sad. And she gets on.
And going into the second episode, when we get there. Mm-hmm. I felt like it was very heartbreaking, the fact of whenever she finally got to Kiyoka's house and mm-hmm. she, is putting her stuff away, which she didn't have a lot of stuff to begin with.
She had 2 kimonos and a comb.
Yeah, and she's putting all the stuff away, and she has this weird tearful moment where she's like, I'm never gonna belong to that house again.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, wow, like, that's upsetting because you realize like what she's left behind. But then at the same time, you got to put yourself on edge because you're like, honey, you weren't leaving. You're like, getting out of there was probably your best like situation. Because it was shit there. Okay.
We do find out that Koji actually talked to his father and told him how bad Miyu's life was and stuff like that. And Koji's father was like, the best solution is she goes marries off Kiyoka.
See, and I feel like there's another hidden agenda there, but that whole thing, like, really, I felt was stupid. And the fact of like, his dad like basically like played into it. Oh, you wanted to protect this girl? This is how you do it. Like the dad's in it for himself.
Yeah,
like
no, he's in it for himself. Yeah,
he goes, I need you to marry this daughter. I need you to do this. And oh yeah, we're actually moving her away.
Well, do you want to slate spoilers?
No.
Okay, I won't tell you.
No, forget you, buddy. Nobody wants spoilers. We're only in 2 episodes. You ain't supposed to know that.
I'll tell you later.
Well, I do know that there's incentive that he wants her for some other agenda because they do have that one argument, which this is where it gets into what you said before the show, that there are parts of this that do run together. And I feel like everything between the dad and the other family's head, like all is in the first episode, and it's not. So
no, it's well, this episode and the next episode like go right into each other.
Yeah.
And so we meet I think her name's Hana.
The other servant?
Yeah, the servant for Kudo's house.
No, Hana is the one that's at her dad's house.
Okay, then who's
you're thinking of Yuri.
Yuri?
Yeah.
Okay. We meet her and she is so nice and so welcoming. at the Kudo residence, and we find out that they live in a modest house. It's
Yeah.
not as extravagant as, say, other people live. Which when we got up to the point where they got to the house, I was like, "That's modest," because it looked really nice to me.
Dude, and it looked like a fucking compound. Like, I was sitting there like, what do you mean? Is it modest because it's like in the middle of the woods?
Maybe it's because like it's not as like technologically advanced or more
That's
modern
that's what I would have to say.
or
Yeah,
more modern. Like doesn't have a lot of the modern like necessities.
maybe. I mean, the closest comparison that I could make to it was the other house, the one she came from, the Samori household, is more like a rich person's house in California.
Because they do have like running
And
water and like electricity.
yeah, and that the Kudo household, which is, you know, where she's going to, is more of like a house that's in Hawaii. Like that is my best like example of it, because it does look extravagant. Like we do have all this other stuff, but it seems like it's also like a training base. It's close because of the military base or training area or whatever. Because you know, like he walked what's his face? Kiyoka walks to work, you know, basically.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. And she's so excited. Hana's so excited. And she's like, "Oh, I heard so much about you, this and that," which I wonder what
Yuri.
I wonder what Yuri has heard about Miyo. Like, what exactly has she heard?
Yeah.
You know? And we because that made me curious. I was like, "Oh, interesting." And we find out, like I said before, he's had multiple fiancés, this and that. Kudo has. And we get to the point where they meet and they have this interesting interaction where she's like bowing her head. And he's like, "How long are you going to keep your head down?" And they lift and they meet and they kind of like zing almost, I feel like you know, like get like those sparks.
Yeah.
Almost. And the episode ends with, "He's so pretty."
Right.
And I was like, "Oh, interesting." Which I was like, "Oh man, I don't know about this guy." I mean, I'm not one.
So I have to tell you, I did the same thing because he reminds me of one of like the bad guy characters in shit, what is it? The vampire one.
Castlevania?
No, it's the vampire manga where like they're also demons, like the weapons are demon weapons to fight the vampires. I can't remember what it's called. But that's what it reminded me of. The guy's name is like Frerin or Frenard or something like that, and that's what it reminded me of, is his character, except more rough.
Okay. And then we finally get to meet Kuda.
Seraph of the End. That's what it's called.
Oh, Seraph of the End.
Yeah.
I've never seen that one.
Oh, if you look up Frenard or whatever, Frenner or whatever his name is, like they both, even though they're in a different art style, look like the same character.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he is very like generic anime pretty boy.
Hey, you take that back. There's a bunch of dying fans that are going to be like, "You bastards."
Kiyoka, that's his name, Kiyoka, right?
For who?
For My Happy Marriage.
Our main female?
No, the guy.
Miyo.
No, Kiyoka, the guy who has all the fiancés.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Kiyoka Kuda.
Yeah. Is what?
He's like a very like standard Japanese anime pretty boy.
Here we go. We're getting banned.
His look.
We're getting doxxed because of you, buddy.
I'm so sorry.
You just had a lot of people that are going to listen to this that love this show be like, That bastard.
Look, okay, it's not about what he looks like. It's about on the inside. Okay.
Hey, here's the funny thing. Out of all that time, how many of those people probably just said he made fun of my Kiyoka and added my into it? How many people probably just did that? Be like,
how dare you? How dare you?
No thirsty girls. The hell,
So thirsty.
so thirsty.
Oh yeah.
They're like, Kiyoka's a tall glass of water.
That's why they call him the panty dropper, Kiyoka.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry, the kimono dropper. Sorry.
The kimono dropper. He's so stupid. I love it. Oh my gosh. I feel like that's gonna be our grading scale. Well, that guy's such a pretty boy. He's a kimono dropper, okay?
He's a kimono dropper, okay?
Yeah.
But anyways, moving on into the next episode.
So Shiro from being a kimono dropper or no?
I mean, I liked his style. I mean, he was a bad.
So he's an otaku Mike kimono dropper.
I mean, I thought he was a pretty cool character.
but is he gonna be your husbando?
My husbando?
Yeah, husbando.
Oh, I don't know. That's kind of already taken.
Who's your husbando?
Oh, I gotta go with Spike.
Spiegel?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know what to tell you about, buddy.
Maybe like Vash? Like, you know?
That was in my head just now. I was like, I'm surprised he's not going to say and Vash. And then you went, oh yeah, and Vash. And I was like, you bastard. We've been friends for too long.
You know, I gotta love the classics, you know?
I mean, I understand that you want to be a Mike spit roast between a Spike and a Vash, okay?
I mean, yeah.
That's going to be a little vicious.
They can use their guns on me.
Oh my god.
I guess the swordfish, and I forget what Vash's has. Well, he's like the arm cannon.
Well, is it the big arm cannon?
It's the big arm cannon.
Or is it the gray gun? Or is it his little machine gun that's in his arm?
The big arm cannon. You're the one that it's like destroys cities.
God. Oh my god. Well, it's about to destroy something else for you, buddy.
It's gonna destroy my asshole.
Oh. We're so far off topic.
Anyways, moving along. So you want to pick up where we left off in the last episode?
Yeah, I just got to touch on one more thing.
Okay.
So I guess that one person wasn't that far off when they said sometimes you took it from your wife. Is that why your voice is so high?
No, it's because I took that bag of dicks in my mouth.
Oh my god. Well, we're getting doxxed.
That's an old YouTube reference.
That is an old YouTube reference. But anyway, back on subject. So they wake up the next morning. Oh, I don't know how I'm gonna recover from this. They wake up from the next morning, and Miyo ends up waking up early, and so she gets started on breakfast. As Yuri walks in, she's, oh, this is kind of early. Like, you know, I don't usually start this early. And she's like, well, I was up, so, you know, I wanted to go ahead and do it. And then we get this scene where it's Kiyoka and Miyo, and he basically like asks her to try it. And I think it really catches her off guard
because she makes the breakfast.
Yeah, it catches her off guard, and he goes, oh, there we go. You were trying to poison me.
Which, I mean, we learn later on, like, his reaction is because, like, people just want, like, his status and his money.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
Women want his money, and I think a lot of people, like, he also gets death threats. Yeah. I don't know why. Which, I mean, it's probably just because we don't know about that yet. He's probably got some people that are pissed. I mean, why do they say that he's got the title of the Ruthless Soldier, you know?
Yeah.
So, or it's just because he's, you know, gives everybody the cold shoulder or something like that.
He's very cold and standoffish. Yeah. Very blunt. I want to say.
But yeah, he does that, and then he goes, and whoever his like second in command guy jokes with him,
Hmm.
and like he's real hard on his men. Even though like they're like, oh, we haven't seen action and da 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 da,
Yeah.
and he uses his power and creates like an ice spear
I love. I have to
ball
say,
thingy.
I love this scene because it comes out of nowhere.
Well,
Okay.
see, and he starts doing it, and I'm surprised there wasn't like a cold reference because you see it like as everybody's talking,
Yeah.
like the swirls coming from the ice getting pulled in, but
Hmm.
nobody says anything about it till he actually shoots it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like devastating power. He shoots like a little target, and it just like blows half of it up.
Hmm.
But he got jokes from his second in command, and then he goes back and he kind of thinks about what's going on. And I think he does really value the people around him's opinion.
Yeah.
So
Because
he thought of Miss Yuri and how she actually defended Miyo.
and
Um,
Yuri doesn't normally do that.
right, this is the first time,
Yeah.
so it kind of made him reevaluate what happened.
Hmm.
And of course, like he threatened to like send her home and pack up, and she also stayed. So I don't know if there was more to that that he thought about, but like that. And Miss Yuri made him dinner when he got home, and it was cold. And then he was like, "Why aren't you eating?"
Which
So
I was very curious on why she wasn't eating as well.
I think most of it was that she had to give part of that up sometimes, like her stepmom or whatever, like punishment. She either didn't get fed or something. Because think about it. One of the other things that what's his name? Koji said was that she was always kind of sickly, and I really think the reason why she was always kind of sickly is because she was malnourished.
No, what's his face says that.
What?
Uh, Coda.
Well, it gets brought up before.
Yeah.
Like they talk about her being sickly.
Hmm.
And I think that's why is that why she was sickly was because they didn't feed her very
As
much.
he also makes reference, like we know really nothing about her. Like her hands are like servant hands.
Yeah, they're
You know,
calloused and
her
they've been
kimono
worked.
is tattered. She's sickly, like you said. You know,
Yeah.
like was she actually like raised like a proper like person of status?
Was she raised proper at all?
Yeah.
So, of course, this is also about that time when we get that scene where both the dads for the Samori and the other family, the
Hmm.
Tetsuos or whatever,
They get into a fight.
Tetsushi, yeah, about that, which we can kind of allude that it is Miyo that they're talking about,
Yeah.
even though we don't know why.
Yeah, because they wanted Mio because I forget what the last name of the mother is.
I don't really think they brought up the last names yet, but I know what it is.
They do say it. It starts with an O.
It's the Usuba. It's a U.
Asuba.
Yeah,
So,
Usuba.
slight spoiler.
You son of a bitch. You told me you weren't going to spoil anything for me.
So, from what I've gathered and what I've been told, the bloodline comes from her mom,
Yeah.
not her dad, is what I've been told.
Well, see, I figured it came from both. Her dad's just not as established as like this good bloodline.
Yeah, from what I've been told, which we'll get into it, I don't know all of it, but the powerful bloodline comes from her mother,
Yeah,
not her
yeah.
father.
And then they mix and they make whatever it is for her.
Which we can get into it, like after the test and after we have that, he doesn't trust people and stuff like that. We get into a little flashback of Kaya and Miyo uh, doing like a test to see if they can see spirits or something, like see if they have like powers.
Well, and we also got to see like where they were together. Like at some point they were good sisters.
But they didn't come off like that.
Well, I mean, like early on, like the only thing that really happened that made it bad was this whole kind of BS stuff from Kanoko.
I don't know what the mom's name was.
Not Kaya's mom.
Kaya's mom.
Yeah, Kaya's mom. So, and then it just kind of like got more like, you can really tell where Kaya started drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I know she starts drinking the Kool-Aid and they take all of her stuff.
Yeah,
like all of Miyo's mom's stuff.
Yeah,
and she tries to fight back and tries to get it back because she has a voice when she's a child at first, but it gets squashed down right away.
Yes,
so squashed down, and we have this scene where they're getting tested by their father. And Kaya freaks out, and they supposedly think that she can see the grotesque like spirits or whatever, the grotescas or whatever they're called, the demons. Yeah. She can see the demons, and Miyo doesn't see anything, and
and I only want to touch on this part. I don't fully agree that she didn't see it.
I mean, that's that. I agree. I mean, but
I don't think she had the same reaction.
That I was gonna say. It looks like she doesn't see, but she did. Like you said, she didn't have the same reaction because Kaya like kind of runs away.
We'll see. And the other thing is Kaya's reaction as a little kid really seems like this thing was coming to get her.
Yes,
and so that's my other reasoning behind that is.
Here's my theory.
Yeah.
I don't think Kaya has magical powers.
Oh, you think she played it off?
I think she was faking it.
So, I agree. I think so too. Because she doesn't act like a spaz that sees spirits and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, she acts like... You're gonna have to fix the name for me.
Okay.
She kind of acts like Nanase though.
Nanase?
Yeah, from B&A.
Oh, Nazumi.
Like, Nazumi, yeah. Like she wants to have that celebrity status and she's willing to lie and kind of cheat to be able to do that. And because she's had nobody that could knock her back into place and say, hey, this is wrong for you to do that. It's just continued on, so nobody has stopped her from that. I'm sure her mom's feeding her shit behind closed doors.
No, most definitely.
I mean,
when they at one point her dad's like up like to the moon, like, oh my god, you have special powers, you can see the ghosts or whatever, the demons, and she talks about one time where she like made like a piece of paper or origami move or whatever. And the mom's like, oh, yes, of course you are, because you're our daughter, unlike that other child.
Yes.
Which makes me believe like she's force feeding Kaya the Kool-Aid. I feel like at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving on.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like I said, I agree that I also think that maybe she is faking it in some way or something like that. But at this point, we can't really tell. I also want to know like what Koji's stuff is that he brings to the table with that.
Yeah.
Like how many other people can know this? Like
we also see like a little bit of like how life has been for Koji.
Yeah.
And Kaya. Because Koji has to move into their house.
And let me throw this out to you.
Uh-huh.
Do you think the dad is able to see that, or did somebody just give him this box and say there's a spirit in there?
Ooh, it's a good question.
Like, does he know what this spirit looks like?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there was something in there because we saw footprints.
Yeah, we saw it walk off the curtain or
Yeah,
whatever.
we as viewers saw.
And then we saw the candles start blowing out. But my whole thing is that I'm confused of is when we see the candles, it starts coming straight for her, and then it kind of loops around to the left, and she runs away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so if it ended up behind her, like what's going on? And that's why I really want to know, because I'm thinking about this, right? Shit, what's the game? The Sumner game, the one that I like. That like the Jack Frost is in it and things like that.
I don't know.
Fuck. Shin Megami Tensei.
Oh, Shin Megami. It's Shin Megami.
Yeah. So you know they have that. Yeah, Persona. Like, but it's in the Devil Sumner one that I like and everything, and a bunch of the spirits that are there are either playful or something like that. And I'm like, what if this was like a playful dog spirit that was like gonna make a circle around her or whatever? Like, you can't fully tell us whatever was in the box was actually bad or anything else. You can't tell us what it was. You can't tell us anything about these spirits or if you know anything about them.
Yeah.
And you know, like, that's what I'm saying though too. Like, if we already know in this kind of Cinderella story, like, Miyo has to have some kind of specialty. And she did not react the way that I felt like she should have with that.
Especially for a child.
But the other thing was, she also didn't act like it wasn't anything that she didn't already know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compared to this other child that like completely got freaked out, all this other stuff. Like, and I don't know. Like you said, we saw footprints and we don't exactly know. And honestly, for me, when I thought this box was open, I thought it might be Miyo's mom's spirit that was maybe in the box.
Because she very much is tied to, like, the compound or whatever.
Yeah, but then I was like, why would she go after Kaya, knowing from what we know about who her mother supposedly was?
Because Kaya's not the rightful heir to the Samori clan.
But I don't really see her
being vengeful.
I don't see her being vengeful like that. Yeah.
I see the way Kaya was.
I see more of what Miyo's mom would have done is would have sauntered over to Miyo, and we would have seen that, but we didn't.
Which we do get a scene later on where Miyo ends up making Kiyoka breakfasts, which they have eggs and I don't know what else they have. They have some kind of egg omelet type of thing, and I think some like tofu soup is what they have.
Yeah.
I think, which, because we get this scene before where he is like, oh, I'm sorry for how I reacted, this and that, it's basically okay if you make me food, basically. Because he's kind of paranoid that, people are going to poison him or do something to his food and whatnot, like we said before. We have this scene. It's a very nice scene where they're eating, and he's gonna eat dinner. He's gonna eat breakfast with her and stuff, and he eats her food, and he basically gives her a compliment. And it's the first compliment she has received in years.
Yes.
That basically, her food is good. She starts to cry, and Kiyoka starts to wonder, oh, like, why are you crying? Like, what's going on? And she's like, oh, no, it's nothing, Obviously, it's something, but she doesn't really say exactly what it is. And Kiyoka kind of eats his breakfast and goes on. And he remarks to Yuri that he's like, I'm going to find out more about this girl. And I'm going to find out more about her family and what they did to her.
Yes.
Because obviously they did something to her. And that's where the episode ends, if I remember correctly. And let me ask, what did you think of these first 2 episodes of My Happy Marriage?
I mean, I liked it. I hope that we are on a good path for it, and that something else doesn't happen that makes me not like it. Because, like I said, the milkman thing is the only thing that irritates me right now. But
My
I mean,
theory,
everything else
is
about this right
Kaya's
now, I
mom
think is
fucked the
good.
milkman. That's my theory.
See, look, I agree. I
Kaya's
think
mom
so
fucked the
too.
milkman.
I agree. I think so too.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry.
That was it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. Like, I am very intrigued
Yeah.
at what is going on. I have attached myself to Miyo in a way. Like, I feel like I don't want to say I identify with her, but like identify with aspects of her, I would
Yeah.
say. Um, as a cisgender white male, just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying, as a white male, I identify with this Japanese girl.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I was very pleasantly surprised. I did actually. I ended up enjoying it. And normally, it's not my cup of tea to watch like romantic um, anime. If I do watch it, it's more like rom coms,
Yeah.
like more like funny stuff. Like this has very serious aspects to it. Not a lot of funny haha, not a lot of funny haha moments, but I'm interested to see where this goes and where our 2 main characters goes of Kiyoka and Miyo.
Yes.
That relationship interests me quite a bit. Going forward, some stuff does happen. I don't want to spoil it for you, but in episode 3, some stuff happens and we get a little progress. I'll just say that. But yeah, pleasantly surprised. I was very taken back on how well the animation is, how subtle it is.
Yeah.
Like very detail oriented. They don't skimp on the backgrounds at all. Like it's the character designs were always on model.
Yeah.
Like it was almost like picture perfect. Like and like now it wasn't like bombastic, awesome action, but like everything was well animated. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I felt like everything was.
I thought the music was really well done and very well timed with the show,
Mm-hmm.
and it really got me into it. Like it was a solid first 2 episodes. Like it did hook me,
It
and
was.
I'm surprised I'm saying that it hooked me.
He was like a big fish.
I'm just like a big fish. It got me.
Yeah.
It got me.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. I totally thought that this was really good as well. And I mean, honestly, like I almost feel like we could cover more episodes because like you watch 2 and you feel like you really haven't watched much at all.
It's like you almost watched 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I got done and I was like, oh, and the 3rd episode started and I was like, wait, pause. This is the 3rd episode. I ain't supposed to watch this yet.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would say my only complaint, and it's personally, it's just me,
Yeah.
and it's not about like the animation quality. I'm not really about the story. It's about how the characters treat women in the show. Like
Right.
they're terrible people. The men are so terrible. Most of the men are so terrible. Not all, but like just the patriarchy and stuff like that, and like how like they basically treat Miyu as a thing and not a person,
Yeah.
which I was not for. I was like, no, we're not doing this. And I'm very glad that they got out of that within the first episode.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm very glad like we got past that. You know, the people are still shitty, but for me, we've got her out of that terrible situation at that moment.
Right.
You know, but
Right.
yeah,
Well, and I mean, the other thing is with that, like we know, per se that that she's, even though he's gruff, she's
hmm
she's pretty much taken care of.
yeah,
And I kind of feel like because she's had all this thing, like she is very submissive in the terms of having to deal with all that shit. And so
hmm
while he is gruff, it doesn't affect her like it probably did part of these other
I
girls.
would say it affects her a little bit because she does feel like she failed when he thought she poisoned her or she poisoned him.
Yeah.
Like it does affect her, like, oh, she failed because we didn't bring up this part. I think it comes up in the third episode. Like if Miyu gets sent away, she has no home to return to, so she is basically going to be homeless and begging on the streets. Is what happens. What would happen?
See, you're going to keep me talking about this.
Okay.
So I also think that is a thing that they thought as well, because of how this guy has ruined relationship after
Yeah.
relationship and whatnot. I really think strongly that when the two dads got in the argument, that may be one of the things, is they felt like after a day or two, like he was gonna run her off,
Yeah.
but and then she would be on the street, and this other family could get a hold of her,
Yeah.
and I don't think it happened.
Very much like I feel like Koji's plan was for them to send her off.
Yeah,
Her like get sent off and then go onto the streets, and he would be Prince Charming and like sweep her off her feet, and then they bring her into his family.
yeah,
Is what I'm gathering. Which I mean, Koji does seem like a nice guy. Which when I first started watching this, I was wondering if he's like secretly an asshole.
yeah,
Like I was like, what if he's like secretly like misogynistic?
yeah.
But no, he's actually a pretty nice guy. But he's not as nice as our boy Kiyoka. Kiyoka might be rough like a diamond or a
Yeah.
rock, but deep down, he's a nice little boy.
Yeah.
Who can heat up his own bathwater with his firepower.
Right. Well, so and I had to pull up the Wikipedia for the names.
Yeah.
But it does tell us he's like the only one it tells us.
Oh, really?
It says that he has pyrokinesis, hydrokinesis, which is water and fire, and supposedly he's also going to have electrokinesis.
Oh, interesting.
So he's kind of like a Doduo with a tri-power.
Oh. Just
So
call him the tripod.
Jesus Christ. But it also doesn't say anything else that anybody else has. Like, it doesn't touch on that anybody else has power. So I kind of really wonder too if we'll see anything.
I think we will.
So
I think other powers will manifest with certain people,
yeah,
i.e., the main character,
yeah,
Miyo. I feel like she's probably gonna be like latent powers. I hate to say this and use this term, like Harry Potter. He had his latent magical abilities.
yeah,
Even though I don't want to compare Miyu to Harry Potter, because I feel like this show is written way better than Harry Potter.
yeah.
Just saying, throwing out no shade to Harry Potter fans out there.
I feel you casting that shade.
I'm casting that shade on those muggles. I don't know what Harry Potter fans call themselves.
Potterheads.
Potterheads. Just gonna say, my love story is a better Harry Potter than Harry Potter. Yeah. I said it. I said it. I meant it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, I like these 2 episodes. What would you give it?
Right now, because I don't want to jinx it, but I'm gonna say a 5.
So I'm gonna be right there with you. Like, I thought it was very well done, and I also will give it a 5. 5 stars.
Good.
5 stars. So that means it gets a gold star. We both gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
So far, but that grade could change by the end of this. Who knows?
I mean, you ain't lying.
But I just want to say thank you to everybody. We're going to continue watching this show. I wonder if we can find the OVA or if the OVA is on Netflix. So that'll be interesting to watch and see. Because it only had the first, I think 12 episodes or something like that.
Maybe
on Netflix. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, I enjoyed this. I look forward to covering more next week. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed the Happy Podcast. Or my Happy Podcast with Mike and Jen.
Okay, I like that better than just the Happy Podcast.
My Happy Podcast.
My Happy Podcast. Yeah.
Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys next Tuesday.
The other bad thing about this is if we just call ourselves a Happy Podcast, it brings a whole new meaning to see you next Tuesday.